Welcome to Pull the Pin Already, a place you're guaranteed to get a veteran's opinion. I am Jim, and joining me again.
This is Lieutenant Jace here, and
Staff Sergeant retired, Chris Blakesley.
Welcome, gentlemen.
Bo.
Our normal shout-outs to Chris and Johnny. We appreciate you as always. And Jace, I think you want to share some more, then you share some more.
Hey, I think I responded to both of you to this week or month or whatever it's been because it's we've been going through the holidays and some of us struggle through it, some of us take it in pride, and some of us just do what they got to do to do what they got to do.
Speaking of, Happy New Year, right?
Hey, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Hanukkah or whatever is in your cards. I'm not a hater, and I'm just a contributor. But I had so this episode we're doing today, I ran into several veterans, and we were discussing like just how we started our comp and pen for our ratings for disability, and then like just the steps that we've been through, and how long the freaking process is, because the VA is they're not the easiest to get through, so I would rather have one of you guys start, but like for Chris, what when you first got out, what happened? How did you go about filing? And
so we've all heard the horror stories with the VA. I mean, I've heard it from veterans. Jace, you've heard it. Jimbo, I'm sure you have too, about navigating the system.
I might be one of those horror stories from the VA.
My story is considerably different than the two of you guys because they took care of me right from the rip. I was injured in Afghanistan in 2013, and I was going through the med board process because they declared I was too injured. I wouldn't be able to continue my service. So when I went through the med board, you have what you call a PEBLO, which is a personal assistant, physical education board representative, something like, I can't remember what it stands for, but their job is to navigate and file your claims with the government, and then that will transfer to the VA. So right from the rip, I got an offer at 18 years of service. They, instead of doing the traditional, trying to stick it out for 2 more years and get 50% of my pension, they offered me 70%, which is unheard of on the active duty side. I mean, you pretty much have to be almost losing a limb to get something like that. I knew from my Pueblo that once I got out, the VA would probably push that up a little higher, and they did. But the other thing too is I had more injuries that I didn't claim right away, right from birth. There's a certain statute of limitation you have to make your claims for service-related injuries. And he was honest with me. He goes, "This is going to hold you up another 6 to 8 months, or you get out and you file your additional claims with the VA," which is what we're trying to do anyhow. They were trying to get it, so I went strictly with the VA, so I wasn't taxed on any of my retirement money. And what happened is I got out with 70%. The VA pushed it to 100% right from the rip, and then I still filed my additional claims and got comped in percentages for all those. But the VA here in Western New York, and our health clinic specifically, has taken really, really good care of me. I mean, the hardest part I had was the Army was taking forever with my med board, and I had a job already lined up here in Western New York. I already bought a house. I just wanted to get out and retire and get up here and start my new life. And they were taking so long. The only problem I had wasn't with the VA, it was with the DA, the Department of the Army, and I had to get my congressman involved. And my congressman got involved within 24 hours, and within 96 hours, I had orders for retirement.
Nice,
And
nice.
then there's other benefits veterans can tap into
Well,
that they don't know.
let's
And I know,
let's hold up on that. We'll do that at the end if when we get through this though, because I want to comment real quick on that because I think what people are seeing, you are probably the best case scenario despite your congressman involvement and all that. But you're probably a smooth
Well,
best case scenario transition because what you need is a clear, active duty incident and you had the
right,
actual support to help
right,
file
right,
that. So
right.
that's a real smooth transition, easy thing to identify. I think a lot of veterans out there probably struggle with the more
It's
challenging claims. Like I don't know,
so
Jace, where yours went from and what
right.
you
So
did.
I'll lead on from that. So when I had gotten my paperwork to get out, I served my time. I did my time, and so I went to the med board, and I was still young, dumb, and full of cum,
Ideas,
as I say,
ideas, right? Yeah.
and I I was threatened that if I claimed any of these, because I was hurt in action, and I was fucked up bad. I mean, I mean, I don't. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to. We're not going to discuss it. But I was fucked up very, very bad, and I was fed full of some like meds and shit, and I was on bed rest, and I was fucked up for a while, and I recovered. I was young enough. I was athletic enough, and I then I went to my med board, and unfortunately, that's what happened. Is it was so close to when I was getting out that it was just crazy. But I went to the med board, and they threatened that if I they didn't like say it per se, but they were like, if you claim any of these documented issues and documented issues that you had, you would have to stay and be evaluated in the hospital for another month or two. And I was like, fuck that shit. I'm good. I'm good. I'm great. I'm all right. Let me out. So that was like their. It was like the way the VA was like, all right, we got this motherfucker. Now he can't do shit. Unfortunately, it was all documented, so no big deal. But a big deal. I got out. I was cool. Blah blah blah. I I actually waited like 5, 10 years before I filed my first claim because I was still young and I felt that I was just good. I was just good and I could survive and work and do whatever I wanted. And then I started getting perpetual back problems and back pains that stemmed from the shit that I went through. And so for me, long story short, I filed my claim. Um, they laughed at me, haha, you survived this long, blah blah blah. I got like 40%, and I was happier than shit. But then a couple more years went on. My knee started fucking me up. My back was fucked up, so I had to do a secondary claim. And long story short, for me to get where I'm at today, in which I'm at 100%, it took me 7 years. And luckily, because I live in New York State, we have designated state employees that are called like service veterans officer. I don't know, Chris, what they call them?
SVO,
What?
Service Veterans Officers.
Yeah. And I actually at first I got a shitty one, and then after that, when I got my 40%, I went to this other guy that everybody swears by, and he helped me, and
He normally delivers too.
he delivered, and I got my 100%, but it was a 7 year grind. That it is what it is, but it's not always easy. But one of my like points here: don't hire a fucking scumbag to
Yeah,
get you to
don't
lie
dig
and
too
do all
deep
that.
into the solutions and things because we're just telling the experience right now. We'll get
Yeah,
into that.
this
We'll
is
transition
experience.
to that before we confuse
Yeah.
everybody out there.
All right, Jim. But we'll
Yeah, because I
let
don't want to. Yeah, and matter of fact, I just want you to know, Jace, by just saying long story short doesn't make it any shorter, right? You know that, right?
so what? At the end of the day, it doesn't make it the end of the day.
At the end of
So
the day, we'll
shut the
always
fuck
be at
up.
the end of the day. So, real quick though, CJ, when did you go in?
2003.
And what about you, Jace?
1991.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so then you can relate because my journey's been a lot more long and difficult. And I know probably you can relate
You know
because
nothing about being wrong.
I went in '90, and that was in the era where all my stuff started, but you had to suck it up and drive on. Nobody told you anything. Matter of fact, you were probably
Right.
lied to more than advised as a soldier.
Oh my God.
You know
Just the
what I mean?
recruiters alone.
Yes, yes. So, and I'm not taking anything away from CJ, what you probably experienced. I'm just telling you in my day, forget about before us, they tricked you and lied to you. But in my day, nobody was for the soldier. You know what I mean? If you got hurt or injured or something, unless your limb was falling off, you didn't go to the sick call. You were made fun of if you went to sick call. So I just prefaced that by saying a lot of the experiences and things that happened to me were undocumented. I know nowadays they're probably helping people through that, but my experience was
Right.
a lot of undocumented stuff that I just was dealing with because that's what you did. But I mean, there were times where I
Right.
had to go to sick call. My back was tweaked in a run, and I had to go, and thank God I
Right.
did. But my real process was almost after I got out. There wasn't even a like, hey, you're about to transition, make sure you
Right.
record all that. We didn't have that crap. You know what I mean? So it wasn't really until I went to active duty again, I got pulled in out of the reserves, when they were like opening my eyes to all this because I had surgery twice. I got pulled off of missions because of some issues, and then I had surgery, and then it was like, oh yeah, you need to put that. Here's a line of duty for claim. I'm like, claim? What are you talking about, claims? And then it was like hey, you need to, go back. So I would have never been anywhere if it wasn't for somebody in the military at the time when I was going through my detransition for my deployment. It was my reserve deployment where they said, hey, you didn't file, you got to file this stuff. Like, what do you, I would have been like most of these Korean, Vietnam veterans that just like, I'm too tough for that crap. So it wasn't until that. But then once that started, my journey went through a lot of different VSOs or state or local or, and I moved in a couple states. So I went through a gamut. I've even had
Yeah.
an appeal that was in the system for 10 years. 10 years. And then they were waiting for some paperwork from some government agency in the state of New Jersey that I guess wasn't responding. And it wasn't until recently that I went to a VSO who had some experience, kind of like the experience you guys had. He made one phone call, got the information, relayed it to the thing, and ended a 10-year case. One phone call that
Damn.
anyone could have did along the way. So I'm telling you, my experience was drugged through, and I still got so many more things that are wrong that it's a struggle to, and we'll transition to because my story's not as dramatic or whatever, but I can use it to transition into some of your guys' advices and experience. But I went through a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. And
Right.
like Jay said, I even was at the point I'm like, I need to go to one of these paid guys because I'm getting tired of all this. So I still don't technically have my 100% or any of that, but the process has been long and grueling. And I'm not one of those one and done easy cut cases because a lot of my stuff is just over time stuff
It's
that I can't
it,
contribute to an accident on duty or so it's been a process. But yeah,
it's
so what do you
impressive
think?
for I think it's impressive for you because your your transition to being female to male is very impressive.
That's
I'm
good. That's
joking.
good. Well, your transition didn't work out so well, so you're still
No,
an
no,
ugly
I'm still
woman.
a bitch.
Um,
I'm still a bitch.
but that's pretty good though. But in all
No,
seriousness, like my quality of life because of the Army service, I just thought I was just gonna have to live with that the rest of my life. And I couldn't keep stable work because my injuries kept surfacing and I had to find another job because of,
right.
back issues or neck issues and all this stuff that's just been lingering and I wasn't getting compensated for most of it. Or they try to lowball me or undercut me or it sucks. But in the meantime, too, I'm also an advocate that's not a fan of all the abuse that's happening. And I think, Jace, that's where we talked
Exactly.
about before with
I
these
agree.
third party people getting you 100% through manipulation and lies. You're not entitled to 100%. Don't take it. Don't
No.
take away from other veterans. And don't try to skirt the system so that you can have an easy life because it'll come back and bite you.
Well, most veterans have pride, so
Well,
don't do it. So
we
don't
come from an
fucking do
old
it.
era there,
Well,
Jace. Don't.
I know,
I
I
think
get it.
I think going back to what you were saying, Jimbo and Jace, I was the same way. And while the military has morphed and changed with time, it's still very much the military and still very much the same because as a senior non-commissioned officer, and I did it too, and I was guilty of it. You have those sick bay commandos or sick bay warriors or sick call warrior. That still
Yeah,
happened in my time too. You went to sick call too many times.
yeah,
The guy's a shitbag. He's a shitbird. Even though he had legitimate injuries and legitimate problems,
right.
you know. So while the military has changed, it's still very much that stuff still happens today.
Yeah, well, we had the sick
No, I
call rangers
know.
and that. We just
It
we just
does.
didn't realize those are the ones that were getting paid.
Yes,
Yes,
Now they
exactly.
start telling
And
soldiers when they go in, or at least soldiers tell soldiers. There's some network today where people are like, "Hey, you need to go document that. You need to go document that."
every kid that I know that goes to the military, I tell them if you get hurt, because I worked with the Silver Patrol. Chris and I both did. There was kids that wanted to go in the military. The biggest thing I told them, look, it's awesome. It's a great experience. Make the best of it. But if you even fucking bruise your knee, get
get
it
it documented.
documented, dude.
Yeah. So I know we
Because you
could
just
talk.
never know.
We could talk about the horrors of this, and I brought this up earlier too, though. I think there's a fine line. It's a really, I don't want to be negative, but it's a really fine. Like you're going in the military. You're not going to
Right,
painting class, or you're going to be in a career of
right,
counseling,
right.
or you're going into the military. So there is an expectation of hazard duty and putting your
There
body to the
is.
test. Like
There
so,
is. You're right.
I don't think we should make this about going to sick call and document it. I think the wrong
It's not
approach is in
about that.
play.
It's not about that.
But hold on.
It's about signing a blank fucking check for
Right, but
your
my
life.
my my point being is I think the approach should be that everyone who serves should get paid when their service is done for the rest of their lives. That can be a nominal small percentage
Right.
and increase based
Right.
on the sacrifice or
Well,
the injuries
right.
you sustained based
But
on how
yeah,
they happened. But everyone should get paid so you avoid that manipulation of the system.
right. So anyways, on the next segment of the issue, at least for me, and I'll just start this off because I don't know what CJ's stuff is, but so for me, my voyage to getting that 100% though, I had to file a secondary claim um, because like I had I had a serious spinal injury, and that related to getting some knee issues, and neck issues. So I had to, and I mean, this was 7 years. This is a 7 year process. It's crazy. I had to, and then plus PTSD. I had to go to physical therapy for years, and I finally got my therapist to write a letter saying that Joe's his back issues his knee issues are likely than not a relation to his spinal injury, and his neck injuries are likely than not blah blah blah, and then that's pretty much how I got my 100%. And it was a 7 year long process in which, I didn't. This wasn't a plan thing. I didn't. That's not what I wanted to do, but it's what my body made me do because I'm just like a fucked up. I don't know. I feel like I'm a retired fucking superstar wrestler that got thrown around the goddamn mat 10 million times.
You should have been
So
better
that's
at your
it for me.
job.
I guess so, man. It's just you get caught in the crossfire and shit happens, man, Fuck it. I don't regret anything. I do not. I don't regret it. I'd rather have my health, but I don't regret a damn thing. And that's why I'm here today.
And I think, compared to JC and you, Jimbo, mine was very much streamlined. What the stuff you guys had to go through is atrocious, and it's unconscionable that veterans would have to fight like that. What you two had to do. With me being a Purple Heart recipient and a Bronze Star recipient,
Yes.
my stuff was documented in my awards alone.
Right.
What I did when I got hit with the IED. I got hit with an IED. It flipped my Humvee. It killed my driver, and I still fought until I passed out from my brain injury. But
was it twice or just once?
What's that?
Didn't you get hit twice?
I got hit twice. Yeah, that year I got hit twice actually with 2 separate IED incidents.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought. That's crazy, dude.
But
I can't even imagine that.
And like I said, when I first went through the med board, they initially offered me 60%, and I laughed at them. And this is going to go into a part of the segment. I think, Jimbo, you got scheduled for us in a little bit. Instead of going and getting, one of these people to fight for me, I use the military services. People like they're garbage, but they're free and they know the system. So I got a JAG attorney to represent me, or
oh wow,
base legal attorney.
Nice.
It's free. It's free, and the government pays for it. And his whole purpose in life was to represent me in the med board court. They call it med board
That's
court.
awesome.
Med boards. And he's the one that pushed it from 50% to 70%. And it was one hearing he did that. And he goes, we can fight it some more, and I could probably get you up there, but you're going to be here for a while. And at that point, I just wanted to start my life. And I knew the VA was going to be more accommodating, because that's traditionally what you see is the military will give you a percentage, and then the VA will either bump that percentage or add more to it. So I chose the route of going that way. But to the point, even as smooth as mine was, I still had to get congressional interference to push it through.
Right.
I still had to get congressmen involved. And mine, compared to Jason's and Jimbo's, mine was much more streamlined and quick.
What's crazy is, like, the shit that I went through. I mean, you went through some crazy shit, but like the shit that I went through, I mean, I got the closest you can get to like a congressional, but only through New York State. And I mean, you got more than I got. And that's impressive. No, I don't.
Well, and I've always had the mentality of, if you're going to play a game, you have to play by the rules of the game. So use the rules of the game to your advantage.
Where's the camera?
Yeah.
There it is. See,
And
that
I'm not,
shit right
and
here?
I'm not saying, and I agree with you, Jimbo. If you can work, or you can do, like, I can work. I'm 100%, but I am employable, and I have a pretty good job. But if there's things that you don't need, there's veterans that do need them. And
Right.
as military veterans, you're trained to work through the pain. We really are.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Work through the pain. Don't go to sick call. Don't be a sick bay commando. Don't be a sick bay warrior. Don't be a sick call warrior. Don't be a shitbag. You know, that's
I
in all branches. It's drilled into all our heads, from the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. You don't do that. Well, here's the thing: if you're sick and you're hurt, you need to go. You need to get it documented.
and that's
There's a
my whole
difference.
point.
There's a
Right.
difference between a benefit versus an entitlement.
But that,
Entitlement means you earned it. You paid for that with your heart, mind, soul, or ass. You know,
exactly.
the veterans benefits are entitlements. You've earned those. And those I have no problem taking 100% of those, because I paid for that with
Right.
my brain,
I
my
agree.
memory, my back, my body. But if there's a benefit, which means you can take it or you don't want to take it, it's out there if you want it. Sometimes I
Right.
pass on those because I know there's veterans that can use the employment class or employment cert getting you a job, like stuff like that. I leave for the other veterans. But if it's an entitlement, that means I earned it.
Right. And like for me, as you're saying, it took me like 7 years to even file because I didn't feel I felt I signed that blank check. I did what I had to do, and I don't deserve it. And then after a while, it's like I can't even run around the block because my back's so fucked up. So getting compensated for it was the best bet I could. That's the only thing I could do.
Well,
So yeah, I agree with you.
so let's look at this like at two different factors. Like I said, because we all know those guys. Like I was stationed in Hawaii. We know those guys that spent their entire careers in Hawaii, never
Oh, you pussy
deployed,
bitch.
got their own little benefits and little cush things out of this. But so here's the bottom line, as far as I'm concerned, I would give up all the money and benefits in the world to have my health and stuff back. Because chances
Exactly.
are I would probably be doing greater, better things with that health and fitness that I lost. So I'm not opposed to people being compensated for the sacrifice they made. In fact, that's obviously what it's there for. And I think only you,
Right.
as in you in general, know when you're cheating the system. Like I have injuries that I could probably go get a handicap tag, but I don't park in handicap spots because I know I can walk to the door. And if there's a day I can't walk, I'll find a closer spot or, whatever. So I don't need to use that or take away a handicap
Yes,
spot from
sir.
somebody, who actually might need it. But I know that.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? And I know that a lot of people out there do sacrifice and you do deserve something. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like if you're a personal skydiver and you just screw up or whatever, and all of a sudden you get hurt in your job, you signed up to do a private skydiving. That's what you want to
Right.
do as a career. You should have taken insurance out on yourself, right?
That has
Now,
nothing to do with the military.
well, no, but if you understand, that's my point. Is if you take the
But the,
risk, you know that.
yeah,
But in the
but
military, slow down,
right,
Jace. Slow down. I don't know if
right.
you're
No,
feeling
I know, I
guilty.
know.
Slow down. I'm not done with my point yet. My point is when you're doing in the military, you're doing what they tell you to
Yes,
do. Now,
yes.
you still may volunteer to be a paratrooper or whatever, but
Right.
you're still doing their missions. So they have some, standing in your compensation, even if you get hurt, even if you're aggressive, because we need those kind of people. So I do believe the system's correct in compensating people. I just wish it was better at weeding out the ones that weren't, so the ones that are don't have such a hard time getting it.
No, I was just gonna say like, there's people that were in the military, and then now they're back instructing people doing that shit, and then they might hurt their knee, and then they file a claim, and they get a claim from the VA, even though it really wasn't from the military, but they robbed the system. I One thing that like really pissed me off bad. I was back in the day. I used to have a group that I played cards with. We every Wednesday we played Texas Hold'em, but whatever, it doesn't matter. The one kid was in the reserve. He ended up fucking. They were playing basketball, and he fucked his knee up, and he got to file a fucking claim for that shit.
Because it was during
And
the PT.
Was it
no, they were
PT?
just
It was
fucking
just on his
around.
own.
They were just on yeah, physical education, whatever. They were just out playing ball on lunch break or whatever. He fucked his knee up, and he got like fucking 40 or 50% for fucking his knee up. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me, man? You're a fucking reservist at that. And I get it, but it fries my fucking ass
Well, so
because,
that Chase, I think maybe warrants a compensation one-time payment.
yeah,
That
give
might
him,
be an avenue for that because think about it, maybe the military made his knee weak and that's what caused the accident. So you could probably relate that
yeah,
back.
yeah, playing a fucking drop-in basketball game.
Well,
Sure.
but you understand
Whatever
what
the
I'm
fucking
saying, dude.
case may be, yes, I understand the fact that if we were working so I worked at a juvie jail, and yes, we've got to play ball with the kids. My buddy fucked his knee up. He got a surgery, he got comped, and then he got like a $6,000 check and said, there you go. He's not paid for the rest of his fucking life. This motherfucker's paid for the rest of his life.
Right.
And you know goddamn well the knee's gonna fucking heal.
Or if
And yeah,
not, I mean, it's one thing, like, because I can go back to like athletes. There's guys that played all Army sports. And then there's actually
right.
combat
No, I
soccer we
get it.
played. So what if you're
Well,
playing
that
combat soccer PT, you get hurt? You know what I mean? Like you didn't have
I
to
was,
play, but yes, you
yeah,
did.
I was trying to call CJ the other day when Navy whooped the fucking Army's ass. Booyah, booyah, bitch. Um,
Because they have more
what's
time
up?
to practice. They got nothing else to do.
Well, yeah, we have a fun. Yeah, whatever. It don't matter. It's just fun. It's fun and games. But
Well, I told you the
don't let
comedian who
you.
said that, right? How is it our most lethal force in the world and we can't even beat the Navy? Like,
Well, it's the Navy Marines, not just the Navy. But
oh, good
what
point.
happens? I was watching these the linemen, I guess they're called, wearing knee braces and shit. Are they actually military members, or are not all of them military? I don't
You
know if
talking
you guys
about
know this
the
shit or not.
midshipmen and stuff from West Point, and
And Army guys, the West Point,
if they are in West
are
Point,
some of them?
they are cadets, but they are compensated and they are actually military.
Yeah, they're the ones going
That's
through
what
the process to
when I was in.
become officers.
When I was in, that's the way it was. But I didn't know if it was that way now, because although the Citadel is a public school, half of them are military and half of them are civilian. So I didn't know if they had changed West Point and the Naval Academy, because these guys. So one of these guys that have knee braces, why the fuck are they still on the team? They should be discharged from the military.
Unless it's temporary.
Whatever, what the fuck ever.
It's
I
They
temporary
got a
because that's
they
what the
got a
med board is.
profile. They got a profile to wear a knee brace.
Yeah,
That was
well,
just one of those things I wanted to ask Chris about, because I found it interesting, because it was mostly army those army guys that wear those tutus that were wearing them.
Yeah.
I
They
don't know
wear
that.
knee braces and then a little dress to go along with it, but on the front lines. But whatever.
Well,
No, I'm just joking.
supposedly the Secretary of War is taking care of that crap now.
No, I just question that, because if they are cadets and they're wearing knee braces, they're technically not fit for fucking duty if they have to wear that shit.
Well, what's their duty?
Am I
It depends on
wrong?
your duty, right? Like even when somebody gets
No,
hurt, they go on limited
no, it's
duty, right?
not.
The
I guess if they
profile is the purpose of the profile is to get you back into fighting condition. Otherwise, you'd be
right,
discharged out. If you're no longer
that
serviceable,
right.
that's what the med board is for.
Well,
So if you're on
that's what
profile, that means you're capable of getting your butt
You're
back to duty.
capable of you're
right,
capable of healing and
but
getting back to shape.
right, but then when they get out, they could just use that to collect. But I got a point there. It's like that. It's a very interesting topic that I was very just wanted to talk to CJ about it, because I thought it was a very interesting thing, and very interesting that it was mostly Army. But you guys do spend a lot of time on your knees, so I get it.
Really, dude? Really? Is the Navy guy making a gay joke about the Army? Really? Like that's why the Marines. That's why the Marines were invented, so the Navy guys would have a date for the ball.
Oh yeah. Back in the day, the story was the Marines would whoop all our asses. So
Well,
whatever.
they probably would, but that's why your name
Full
tags are on the
speed
back.
ahead, baby. Full speed
back
ahead.
Yep.
Anchors away, baby. All
Hmm.
that means is these nuts away.
And
But
so I think
yeah,
the moral of the story is, especially what we were talking about earlier, is the VA system is broke. The system is corrupt. People are scamming it and shamming it that shouldn't be getting compensation. And then I am the exception, and you guys are basically what I've heard every other veteran say. It's been a hell and a fight trying to get your benefits and your
Right.
even
entitlement.
when I had started getting my shit, I was told buckle the fuck up because it's going to be a long run.
Well, the
I would
system's
say
slow, right?
though,
Because it's overloaded anyway, right?
I don't. I'm not. No, no. I'm not going to say that. I'm
No.
going to say that I'll through my experiences, and I would say first of all, if you did get injured and you're legit, get a VSO. I'm from New York State, so I did a veteran service officer. He was awesome. He helped me through everything. Um,
Everything that those the pay here places say that they can get you, the VSO will get it for you, and that's his job. New York State pays him to make sure you get all your entitlements,
right,
and it's free.
and so New York State, I don't know I don't know what it's like here, but in New York State, they have to uh, uh, attend to your file that you filed within 30 days. They don't have a choice. It has to be within 30 days. You have to get your appointments or whatever you need within 30 days, and that's it. That's like the law.
Oh, they
And
sped up the initial process, right? They
no, but
sped that part up.
even my secondaries. The thing is, though, is if you were to, the problem is that, and this is what I was advised. So because, so I went from 40% my first pen, it's called a comp and pen exam,
Hmm.
and got 40% my first, and then I went in for my second. It took several years, and I was like, this isn't working. I'm still hurting bad. So I filed another one 3 years later, and then whatever the math is, it equated to 7 years, and I got my 100%. I filed, and filed. You can't just file every year because they could take shit away from you if they think that you're just lying and being an asshole.
Well, then they also passed, I can't remember the Servicemen's Stability Rights, SSVA or something like that. And if you are disabled or you have whatever your percentages are, if they stay at that same percentages for 5 years, it's almost next to impossible for the VA to reverse
Right,
this.
right, and also you're gonna get so you're gonna get recommended treatment, and if you don't fulfill your obligations to go into treatment, they're going to
Yeah.
question that, and they're
Well,
going to question that and say, if you don't need treatment, then what the fuck?
that
Get out
goes
of here.
back to the curable thing. That's what goes back because like
Right,
a lot of my percentages are not curable. Like it doesn't matter how much
right,
physical
right,
therapy I go to, it's never going to fix what's wrong. You can't reverse
right,
that process.
right,
So that's the
right,
difference. Like, so that's the danger too with like the PTSD stuff. And I think and I hope they start
right,
cracking down on it because if you claim PTSD, there's treatments for that. You know what I mean? So at
there is,
some point now, maybe
there is,
some, again, like this was my problem with that. Like I understand PTSD is like a lot different, and I understand like just being in the military, you can have anxiety problems that may never get treated. Like I'm not doubting
right,
that because
right,
that's why we all sit with our back to the door. We
right,
we trust nobody. Like I'm granted. That's why I go back to my pay everybody regardless, a percentage
right,
regardless, because those things are
right,
drilled into you, and they're never going to undrill them. Now, people that go
right,
like, your experience, CJ, you might have a level of PTSD beyond that because you lived an experience that would have never happened in the real world or very unlikely in the real world that could have had traumatic damage for the rest of your life, mentally. So that I get. But if you're talking about regular PTSD stuff, like I think
Right.
everybody goes through that. You know, you lose a grandmother, you lose a dog, you lose like those are PTSD experiences that we all experience.
And
You know,
you get
so in
over
the
it.
end, if that's treatable, then treat it. But if
Right.
it's not, then you're going to be jacked up for the rest of your life. So my problem, and again, when it comes down to it, is I've seen so many guys that are claiming 100% PTSD that literally went for a third party contractor job in a company that only does government contracts and carries a gun. Now I understand you could, before we argue, PTSD can surface in different ways, but my point is you're literally hired by the government carrying a gun while the government says your PTSD is real. Now, I've seen guys with PTSD go off. Thank
Right.
God they didn't have guns. So that is my problem. That's how I know if your PTSD is that bad that you need 100%, you should not be carrying a gun on duty for any government agency. Now, you can
What
argue
kind of
outside of that, but
what kind of disorder is PTSD?
It's a mental.
yeah, it's all mental stuff.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So if you're diagnosed with a mental disorder, you shouldn't be carrying a fucking gun.
Right. Now,
Period.
if you want to do it on your own civilian time, go for it. If a company wants to hire you on their risk, go for it. But you should not be working a government contract with 100% PTSD while you got a gun on your hip. I'm sorry, I don't know what your PTSD is, but the point is, if it's legit and worth 100%,
That's
I do not want to see you with a
right.
gun. I
But
don't.
if it's only 50%, no big deal.
Yeah,
Let
because
it
it
be.
may be something, because I'm sure there's nuance to it, right? Because even when you go to the levels of PTSD, it can go all the way down to
Yeah. Yeah.
anxiety, depression, like all that
Well,
stuff can fit under the spectrum.
that's just like the autism spectrum. Exactly.
Yeah. So I
The
understand
same
there's
thing.
nuance. And maybe somebody out
Different
there
levels.
100% PTSD is listening. Hey, explain to me. Give me a scenario where you're going to get 100% PTSD where I can trust you carrying a gun for a government agency. Well, I just throw that in because the government's paying you for any kind of government connection. Help me figure that out because I just don't see a scenario where 100% paid PTSD is okay unless you're exaggerating or embellishing it, or you only have your episodes on weekends when you're not at work. You know, maybe there's a scenario where you don't feel comfortable unless you've got a gun. But again, what's triggering that? Somebody walks into your place of duty and something triggers. What are you going to do?
Right. Exactly.
You know where we live, where Jason and I live in New York. To even own a pistol, I'm not talking about carrying steel,
Right.
just to own one in your house, you have to have a permit.
Yeah, Jersey's the same way. Jersey's just like, yeah.
And one of the things to even own it on that questionnaire is, do you have any mental disorders?
Right.
So right there should tell you if you've got PTSD and it's severe enough that you're getting 100%,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah, but
legally
dude,
you shouldn't even own a firearm like
I
that.
got hired by a company that does government contracts. And we carry guns. We qualify. And I met 3 people there that were 100% PTSD. One of them driving the nicest car in the world, whatever, you know, actually he's the one that told me about the Turo app so he can loan out his cars and make money
Oh yeah.
that way too. Like, I'm just sitting here like, this dude, nice guy. Don't get me wrong, nice guy. But I'm like, this guy's working the system. And I think that's where the system is broken. You know, if he really
Yes.
has PTSD, I don't think he should be carrying a gun because the compensation is for what is taken away of your life. And if you have the ability to work
Exactly.
full function as a armed anything, then you haven't lost anything in your life. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
I agree.
I know PTSD guys that carry their own weapons and they're scary when they go into a flashback or an episode. They're
Agreed.
scary. So I just don't, I think there's too much manipulating the system going on nowadays.
Well, that's that's the whole point of these fucking crooked cocksuckers that are getting these people 100% that probably don't deserve 100%.
Yeah, but if the law is the law, right? I mean, CJ, look, yours, like I said, yours was clear cut. I don't think you're going to find anyone arguing with you being compensated for what
No.
you've done. No one will argue that.
No. The only
You know,
thing I argue with about him is the fact that they didn't give him 100% right when he got out. That's fucking ludicrous.
Well, that too, like I wouldn't argue that either, but the question would be that may be a law thing. Maybe that's the way it's written because as you discovered through the
Well,
compensation thing, there are certain things that you cannot file unless another thing is filed. There are
Right.
certain limitations on percentages, no matter how much.
Yep.
Like
oh,
can't walk because of certain back issues, and your back is only rateable to 50%.
right,
You ain't getting 100%.
right.
So there is laws that dictate that. And that's what these third party people that are ripping you off, they are good at. They're good at manipulating the laws. But I'll
He
tell you
said,
right now, if you're willing, you can go throw your records into any AI program and do exactly what those third party people are doing for you. The AI will scan your records and bounce them off the compensation thing and tell you what you can file.
he
Because that's all
said,
those third party do anyway.
Or if you're an active duty service member and you're listening to this podcast, the other thing you could do is go to your JAG office or your base legal and say, I'm going through a med board, I need representation, and their job is to get you 100%. Or as close to 100% as they can. Like my
right.
Well,
attorney,
let's rephrase that, CJ. Their job is to get you exactly what you're entitled to.
that's better. That's
Yeah,
better.
because I think when you tell people they're entitled to 100%, that's not true.
No, you're right. You're right.
That's
Their
true.
job is to make sure you get compensated what you are lawfully allowed to be compensated and what you've earned.
Right.
Right.
Because
That's
to me,
interesting, though.
100% means you can't do anymore. You can't do something anymore. And whether that's serve in that job, that's what 100%. Like if you lost 100% use of your left hand, what does that mean to you? You can still wipe your butt or
That
rub
means
one out like Jason's
I
doing right now.
have to
Like,
jack off for the right hand. That's all.
but that's my point. So we all understand that when you lose
Yeah.
100%, that
No.
means
Yeah. Exactly.
everything.
Exactly.
So I that's probably part of the problem too, CJ, and I'm not picking on you. I think everyone sort of believes now they're entitled to this 100%. I think that's really what's starting to happen. And I even understand, even in my scenario, as I'm stacking things, it's not like 40% is 80, and then another 20% is 100. That's not how it works.
No, that's not at all how it works.
People think that that's how it works and you're entitled to that. But if you're 80% and you add another 20%, that's 20% of something. That's not 20%. That's
None of the
20% of the
80. Nope,
last
you're
40.
absolutely right. You're absolutely right. The
Well,
way the formula works, I can't even fully
Yes.
comprehend it, but you're absolutely right. Because I said the same thing. I got for the brain injury, I got 50%, and then for the back, I got this and this. I'm like, oh, that's 100%. He goes, no, that's 70. I'm like,
Right.
what? When you add that up, but it's a percent. Like what I got for the back was a percentage of what was left of the
Correct.
first claim. It's really weird how it works.
The first claim is why it matters, because that first claim, if you got 50% for your brain injury, that you're at 50%. So if you get another 50%, it's 50% of the
You're
remaining
not.
50%, which is
Right.
25%.
Right.
he's not though. I got I got like 120% when I first filed my first claim, and I only got fucking 40%.
Because you ain't listening. That's what we're saying is when you get all that percentage, it's stacked. It's not
It was
added to
crazy.
each other. It's
I
on
was
top of
so
it.
yeah, I was pumped though. I thought I got 100%, and I'm like,
Right.
the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, if you stack all mine, dude, if you stack all mine, I'm probably at 200%.
Right.
But all they do is
Well,
10 me to death. They 10%, which is like a 2% increase, or it's crazy.
right. Well,
And
that's because
and I think
you own it.
Jimbo, you're a telltale sign of what we've been saying. The whole thing is, the military mentality of toughing it out and pushing through and don't be a sick bay commando it's actually detrimental to the soldier.
Yeah.
If I'm not saying
I
abuse
was
sick call, I'm saying if you are legitimately sick or injured, use it and get it documented. Do not wait.
And
I was never that though.
but the thing that clears my conscience, like now, if I was living in a mansion and living this great, wonderful life, you would easily say, okay, well, this guy was just using the system. But I'm a direct representation of moving through life with all these disabilities that I can't overcome, but yet I'm not getting compensated for. So I almost
Right.
regret going in the military, and I don't even want to push my kids into the military because of my experience through that. Now, I want to say I'm a proud American and all this stuff, but in the end, my life suffered because of my service.
Well, I
And
think
there,
we
I,
all
I
suffer in one way or the other. Everyone, if you
there's
serve, you give up a part of your life forever.
well, there's a sacrifice, sure, of course. And I'm not denying
there's
that. I didn't deny the time I gave. That was great. Like the time I've given, even the sacrifice I made joining was good. The problem was is no one prepared me that they were just going to dump me out and say, "Hey, you can deal with this stuff." Nobody prepared me for that because nobody's going to hire me if I can't go to work 40 hours a week. Who's going to hire me?
well,
Oh, my back, my head, my neck. I can't come in today. Well, you can't work then.
that's see that I agree with you when it comes to that, and I'd love to talk shit to CJ about him being a recruiter, but I don't feel it's their job either. But like for me, I would still if a youngin came to me and asked me what I thought, I would absolutely guide them and teach them what to expect because I feel that's what because I feel the way you feel, but I feel it's though it would be my job to just teach them what to expect because I think great things can come from the military and
Yeah.
even though even though I got fucked up, I do believe that I have a lot of friends that weren't fucked up and they benefited a lot, and it was a great thing for them. So,
I don't have a personal problem with the military or its process. The problem with the military is a numbers game. There's so many people that you're not an individual anymore.
right,
So a lot of
right,
people just fall by, oh, you're sick, you're out, boom, boom, just move you along. If
right,
the military was like special forces or, Delta Force, like those elite
right,
groups, it would work
right.
flawlessly. People
Well,
wouldn't be getting hurt. They'd be doing their job until an accident actually happened.
that's not true, but okay.
What do you mean?
I worked for a special. I worked for them, and I got hurt. But that's beside the point. The fact of the matter is, like, I got out. I was still good per se because I was young and I was an athlete and I was in shape. But I went to work for Sherwin Williams, right? That was working for Sherwin Williams. Not that every company is the same, but that's considered corporate America. I would rather have stayed in the military than work for fucking the corporate America
You
Sherwin
know,
Williams.
but then the flip side of that is I got to agree with Jimbo, Jay. When I got hurt, I was with the 75th Rangers. I was attached to them in
Yeah.
Zabul province, Afghanistan. And
Right.
to this day, to this day, I still get phone calls and emails from Rangers checking in on me, and I wasn't one of them. I was attached to them. To this day, like
Oh
Jimbo
wow.
was talking about how they take care of each other and you're not a number,
I
you're a person. To this day, I still get phone calls from lieutenants and sergeants I served with that were
That's
Rangers.
cool.
Yeah,
I
you're gonna train to
um
standards. You're not gonna cut corners, so you're gonna be more healthy, more fit. So that you're
I'm
less likely to have these normal problems that most of us down the lower ranks who don't nobody cares about has. You
I'm
understand what I'm
not
saying? That's like what I'm saying is
yeah. I'm not gonna like
It needs a culture change. The military needs a
yeah.
whole cultural
correct,
change.
correct.
I'm not gonna discuss who I was connected to because
They'll come back and kill you.
it doesn't matter. But I would agree that we're all still we still have a camaraderie and we still like discuss shit with each other and Happy New Year and Christmas and
Well,
shit. But
come on, look, Jace. You were in the Navy. I was in the Army. We met at college, and it's been a friendship for over 5 years, 6 years now.
yeah,
And we still take care of each other. Hey, you okay? You need
right,
anything?
right. Unfortunately, it's just two of us now.
Right.
But
Well, and that's
yeah,
okay. And I think the military's full of people like you guys, full of people like
yeah.
us. I just say in general. The problem is it's a numbers game.
No, I
It's
get it.
also
I get
full
it.
of a lot of other
I get
people
it.
who don't care or just care about themselves. So it's a numbers
It's
game,
just
I think.
It sounds like
it's
the new
just
president and secretary of war are trying to get rid of the armchair generals and stuff and starting to change the culture a little bit, more of a warfighter culture versus a numbers culture.
Yeah, we talked about this in another episode too, like because we had some mixed reactions about that. About like, so you take a general with all these years experience, you don't want to, just say, hey, you're done, but you need to start moving these people to the civilian jobs. Get them
Yeah.
out of the military, say, we're going to pay you the same amount. You're going to be a GS, whatever. And that's what you're going to do. You're no longer a representation of the military. You're no longer a general because you don't meet the standards. Like, I totally agree with them holding them accountable to military standards. And if you don't want to lose them, move them to civilian like you do every other job, like the Air Force does. That's the whole Air Force's MO. Let's train these airmen up, make them really good, and then we'll hire them as civilians when they're done. That's what the Air Force does.
Yeah.
This is true.
Those are solutions. Well, it is kind of getting late, so if we have any closing thoughts, I don't know if everybody want to just give some advice to anybody watching this who's talking about claims. Just give like maybe just one, thing you wish you'd known before the claim process, something, anything, whatever. You want to go ahead, CJ, give them something?
One of the things I didn't know about till after I got out and I filed because of my VSO is a thing called, if you've actually been in combat and you've pulled the trigger, CRSC, combat related stress compensation. It's another entitlement for those who've actually been in firefights and stuff like that are affected. And you can be affected multiple ways, whether it's PTSD, traumatic brain injury, physical, you got shot or whatever. But if you've been in direct fire, you can get up to an additional $1,500 a month tax-free on top of your retirement. CRSC,
Really?
combat related stress compensation.
That's interesting. All right, for me, that's fucking cool as fuck. I'm wondering if I can try to file for that. Anyways, so that's on top of the 100%.
Yep. And then there's another one. I was waiting for this, Jimbo, so I'm going to try to wrap this up.
Yeah, no worry.
If you have problems like I have a lot of memory problems from the brain injury. Sometimes I forget to bathe. I don't know how to cook. I don't know how to do this. Then there's a thing called the Caregiver Support Program.
Oh, yeah.
My wife gets that. Because my wife has to spend time making my doctor's appointments, making sure I get there, getting my medication, picking up my medication, issuing me my medication, all the stuff that she has to do that the VA would normally have to do for me. She gets compensated, I want to say almost $1,000 a month for hours she loses at work. It's the Family Caregivers Program.
I heard that one, yeah.
Yeah,
My wife gets it. It's an amazing program. And all we have to do is every quarter we check in with my case manager. And once a year she comes out to the house to make sure I'm living healthy. If I need anything like steps or anything into the bathtub or whatever, they get all that stuff for you.
Good. That's awesome.
Is that all, CJ? If you got more, see, this is what it's about. You don't have to just be one. If you got something else you want to add.
Well, recently, I think it was last year, they also changed how the VA can compensate you now. So before, you get one or the other. You get your VA pay or you get your military retirement pay if you did your 20 years. And then whatever percentage the VA gives you is what percentage you would get tax-free from your retirement pay. That's changed in 2024. If you were injured in combat, you can now get separate. You get your military retirement, and then whatever the VA rates you at, you can get that paid too now.
Nice.
But you have to do your 20. You have to be able to hit that military retirement time. So if you get 100% on the VA and you have 50% on the military, they'll tax your 50% retirement, but you can still get the 100% VA pay. That's all new as of last year.
No, the year before.
The year before, 2023. Sorry.
Oh.
And I screwed myself because I didn't stick it out for 2 more years. I could have made double the money I'm making now, but my body was too effed up, as Jace would say.
I hear
That's
you.
all I
brother. I hear you. And as for me, I don't know if you're. I'll just pretend like you're a fresh vet. You just got out of the military. File ASAP, or if you're still in, when you go to the medical board, let them know the shit that's wrong, and don't fucking lie and say, "No, I'm good." Just say, "No, I fucked my back up. Probably should have it checked out or whatever," because then you got to go through 7 years of struggling if need be. I mean, if you're entitled to it and you were jacked up like I was, let them know, and because it's like I don't know, it's like the moment of truth they call it or some shit, and they're like, so do you want to claim anything, or are you good? Are you hurting? Anything you want to talk about? Nope, I want the fuck out. Because I was threatened that if I claimed anything or said anything, I was going to be put in the hospital and stuck there for a month. So I'm like, nope, I'm good. Bye. Let me the fuck out of this. Because at that age, you want to get back home to your family and friends. Do it the right way.
You also, when you're going through the medical board, if you appeal any process, any part of that process there, this is for those people that are on active duty going through a medical board, you have the right to go before the board in person. You don't have to do it electronically. And what I found was they actually don't like that because in the Army, there's only 2 places you can do the medical board in person at. Fort Lewis, Washington, and then on the East Coast, I want to say it's Bragg or it's Jackson or Bragg, one of those for the Army. So there's only 2 places you can appeal on the active duty side for the Army. I don't know what it is for the other branches. And if you appeal it and you demand an in-person viewing, that means they have to pay you TDY. They have to put you on TDY orders. They have to pay you per diem. They have to fly you out there. They have to put you up in a hotel. So that's all incurring cost on their part. And to be honest with you, they don't want to see a broken soldier coming in there with, fucked up back and can't stand up straight and can't stop blinking because they've seen too much combat. So, like in my case, I demanded to be seen in person, and they just upped it to the maximum allowable by law, just because they didn't want me flying out there.
And just one caveat to that too. I don't know if it was a COVID thing, but I went Zoom. Mine was via Zoom.
No, you can do it electronically.
Okay, I was just saying
you have the right to do it. Yeah, you have the right to do it in person. Okay. They have to let you do it in person if you want to.
All right. Well, let me close out because we've been going at it a little bit long, and I wish we had gotten to this stuff sooner, but I guess we just ran our mouth too long. So I'm going to keep my only piece of advice is don't stop, don't quit, just keep at it. Find the right resource to help you out. Don't just give up on it. If you actually rightfully deserve it, you'll get it. So again, Jace, appreciate you showing up. CJ, as always, we appreciate your time. You guys want to keep doing this stuff? Maybe we'll come up with another topic in the interim, and let us know how you guys feel about this stuff. I definitely felt it was a lot less negative, even though I can still go back to my ways, but I'll break that cycle at some point.
Yeah,
if any veterans watching this, can they reach out to you to get help so we can point them in the right directions and stuff?
Well, we always have right on the bottom is our website. It's still up and running. There's email contact. We can do our best to forward and facilitate them. I don't know if we have the capacity and function to help a bunch of people to come in, because we really are just, this is it. And you see the effort we actually have in this. It's not a whole lot of effort we have time for. But hopefully, yeah, we'll never turn anybody away. Obviously, we'll send them to other resources for sure. But if it becomes a lot, we're going to have to do something. We're going to have to get somebody else involved to
it's getting overwhelming with 2 people so far. So, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, right. We have a hard time here handling Johnny and Chris. So, you know what. But no, we appreciate them as always. And then we're going to cut it here because, again, I'm babbling. Yeah. So, until then, till next time, Godspeed.
Pull the pin already, baby.
Pull the pin.
Thanks for joining us here. Pull the pin already. We hope you had as much fun as we did. If you like what we do, go ahead and hit that like button and share this video with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell button so you don't miss out on any of our future episodes. But most importantly, leave a comment below. Let us know if you agree or disagree with our opinions. Hope to see you here next time on Pull the Pin Already.